Hello and welcome to the chat. I'm Pete, and excellent. You can hear me, great. The little bar's going, so that's even better. And this is we normally on a Tuesday night we have our Pathfinder game, which is set in Ondrim the Wild Mountain, which is why there's still a Pathfinder logo on that little slideshow you saw earlier on. And unfortunately, some of our players couldn't make it this week, and some of our other players decided to have a rest, which is good. So, not being one to leave an empty night of the week, and also developing some things, I thought it'd be fun to do another dev stream on my rebuilding of D&D that I'm doing, working on basing it on goal-based leveling rather than experience points, and how that's kind of unraveling in everything in the game. Hope everyone's doing okay. This is a slightly less produced and professional, not less professional, come on, we're experts by now, but slightly less produced stream. So it's just me chatting with you guys. So please do interact with me, do put stuff down in the chat. I can see the chat here, which is why it looks like I'm looking over there. And you can probably see the lovely colours of my new machine glowing on my face. But please do engage in the chat, and I'll answer any questions you have. Or if you want to talk about movies and things as we go as well, then we did that a bit last time as well. Last time I did a bit of a rundown of my thoughts on different parts of D&D and all that kind of stuff, and I'm not going to go too much into that. Although obviously you'll probably dip into it as we go and certain things come up. But effectively, I'm trying to create a different version of Dungeons and Dragons, although obviously it won't be called Dungeons and Dragons, and on our Discord server, which you should join if you're not already on there, by the way. Oh, Grimwolf UK. Hello. Excellent. Void checks here. Cool. Cownan. Excellent. Xylane. GSO Spectate. Cool. My pirate save data using 7th. Oh, 7th C as inspiration. Cool. Interesting. I played that a long time ago, an older version of that, and I played one of the Russian guys. I can't remember what they were called. Something like Vostoks or something, I think. My wife just telling me that all the boys are now asleep. So that's great. Cool. So yeah, pirate setting, that's cool. Well, there's a little bit of piracy and ships and things. There's also airships, as you can kind of see. There's a little tiny one sort of over there. Sea of Blood. Old Fighting Fantasy books are awesome. Fighting Fantasy books are great. Such a great thing. My older brother had that whole shelf. He collected all of them. And they, hey, Kargan. Morning, yes. Morning there in the future. So we're just getting in, just sitting down, cozying into the stream, saying hello to people. And yeah, talking a little bit about it. So last time, chatted quite a bit, showed off some stuff. I've done some more work since then. I tend to, as I said last time, I tend to sort of write some, then lay out some, and then write some, and then lay out some. Hope you're feeling well. You know what, Sharadel, I'm feeling so much better these days. I had a real bad spell from September to just before Christmas. And I had a horrible cough. I still occasionally have a cough, but that's more at the moment because we've got builders doing stuff to the house and there's a bit of dust around, so I may cough occasionally. Apologies. But last year, at the end of the year, I had a really bad, like super chesty cough. Then I got COVID, and my cough went nuclear, and it was painful in my body, like seriously painful. But I think COVID kind of coughed it out. So I coughed so hard that all the stuff that had been lingering around in my lungs from sitting in my shed for so long kind of came out. And then Christmas Day, I felt super. We went for a long walk, and I was like, I can breathe. This is fantastic. so yeah, that was good. But I think I'm now just a little bit more prone to dust and things. So occasionally I do have a little bit of a cough, but I'm all good. So yes, well, you have a good cycle for keeping the motivation up. Even half products and mock-ups bring satisfaction. Yeah. I'm trying to make it fun and not just I'm going to sit and write the script of the book. I know a lot of people do that and they write everything out, you know. But what I'm also trying to do is I'm trying to make a playtest PDF that I can give to the patrons first, and they will be able to look at that, and it will look a little nice, not super duper, not loads of paid for artwork and stuff, because that's all. I mean, this wonderful piece we have here by Daniel Cunha was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And when this goes forward, then I will be definitely talking to him about some more artwork because I love his style and the colors and just that kind of feel. I think it's great landscapes and things that he does. I mean, I'd probably have loosen stuff up herbs. What are those? Yeah, then the artwork and stuff will come in, but I've done a few cheats and not cheats like stealing anything, because I have commercial license to incarnate, and I actually have. Let me show you. Put together like a bit of a PDF using incarnate resources for making maps. So like border pieces that you would put around like a legend on a map in incarnate. I've taken and made a border for the page. Also, the page material itself is a kind of parchmenty element from incarnate, and then some other bits and bobs. Where are we? Like these panels there from incarnate as well. From all that, using those kind of materials when I can to you know make it try and make it look at least nice. So when I give it to people, they go, "Ooh, this looks quite cool." Also, I find that when you're doing things like monsters, your layout of your book can actually dictate how you should think about notation and how you put their stat block together and that kind of thing. But we'll get onto that in a bit. Turn that off on my lovely stream deck. Cameron, thank you. Looking good. I'm currently trying to spruce up a boss fight as well as work. Bulgus. Spruce up a boss fight. We'll add in some small minions to like give them extra stuff to worry about. Trying to incorporate the environment to make it a kind of multi-level thing, or so just for tea. Oh, okay. I was taking loads of different things for a variety of different stuff, including antibiotics and alternating between antibiotics and lots of alcohol. Neither of them seemed to sort it out. So cool. I'm being very uncomfortable with it. Battle system for up to pike and shot. For use in terrifying, all dwarves should use likes for crying out loud. Reach advantage. Oh, you have a good cycle. Okay. My main problem with boss fights is I'm not particularly tactical minded, so I never know what is a good idea for the enemy to do, so my bosses tend to be a bit flaky. Yeah, I don't know who your party is and all that kind of stuff, but you want to think about like what kind of bad guy is it, and who would they see as the worst threat to them in the party. And that might be one place to start and think, right, how do we go like that? And do they have a particularly favorite thing they like to do? Like, have they got a favorite spell? Sometimes there can be a lot of options for bad guys, and you kind of get a little bit like, where do I start? What do I do on round 2? I've figured out he's going to start off by going magic missile, fireball, breath weapon, whatever. But you know, it makes sense for them to do this. And when trigger X happens, they will do what? Yeah. So they most likely to do this, then this, then this. However, if someone gets near the other end of the room, they're gonna do this. That kind of thing. Did you see the Tracy and Laura Hickman Kickstarter? You know what? I didn't. I saw that there was the Cthulhu one from Green Ronin. I saw that there's the Zweihander Kicks starter box. I saw that come out. You know, so I've seen a few bits and bobs. I don't know what that Kickstarter is. Anyway, Ondrim the World Mountain, my setting, giant mountain floating through space. The dwarves built it. They built layers coming out of it, disc worlds around it. And someone tried to put a link. Sorry, Grimwolf UK. You can't put links in the chat. If you go and put it on our Discord, then we can have a look at it. Skyraiders of Aberrax. Cool. Interesting. Are they people flying around on dragons with big sticks, or are they pirate ships in the sky? Yes, so multiple layers coming out, cold at the top, fiery hell-like at the bottom, and in the middle there's Arlorn, which is the realm, which you can see on this lovely picture here. And the world mountain grows up through all of them up to the top. Pirate ships in the sky, yes, we will have some of that in Ondrim, because the sky islands of Yanath are nearly the top layer. They float around the summit of the world mountain, and they are large islands floating in the sky that have little nations and tribes and groups on them, and they have ships that they can sail around and do war, pirate, all that kind of stuff. They were set up by the Jotun to defend the skies against Imbixalfiax, who is the ice worm of Harlig, which formed from all the moisture rising up off the world mountain into this kind of big glacier in the sky. You fill up your dragon with lighter than air magic gas and hang a ship underneath. That would work, Kargan, definitely. In the tavern on Discord. Oh, cool. Thank you, Grimwolf UK. We can check it out. Cool. Someone saying it's quiet. Volume fine here. Is that brand new setting? Okay, cool. I might be able to see if I can get a picture actually, because I'm not sure if I've done that on here. Here we go. Let's see if I can get a picture of the Wild Mountain for you on. Where are we? Is this the right one? That looks like the right one. This is my poor drawing skills. And, you know, these things are always in a bit of flux and a bit of change, where I think, you know, I want the mountain offset from the middle, and then I think, no, it's in the middle, all that kind of stuff. My Last Pledges, I think, comes out this year. Ooh, okay. And you can see the different layers. You've got the Ice Harlig at the top, Skylands of Yanath, Glorim, which is the Fey Dusk or the Fey Dawn, depending on how you look at it. Arlon the Realm, Udril the Underdark, and Zadumir, the Deep, around the base of the mountain, which you can see, that little line, is the Mechanolith, or the ramparts of the Mechanolith, because the Mechanolith is a arcane, dwarven wrought structure through the center of the world mountain, holding the whole thing together. And then you've got the Ether Beyond, which is space. And Glorim and Udril were seeded by things that came from the ether, which are now powers or gods. There are lots of other gods, and Ondrim is the mountain itself, which everyone worships. So there's all kinds of cool things going on. And as you can see, the Sky Islands of Yanath, they're kind of big floating islands. And yeah, they're coasting around the top there. So you've got flying ships as well. Yeah, I saw the new Dragonlance novel coming out. I have to say, I hope I didn't think the cover artwork was up to scratch as the old ones, but it's good that they're doing another one. Yeah, it's huge. It's the Arlon is huge. It's thick. This is not to scale. This picture, bear that in mind. And you've got dwarf tunnels and things between them. How do you get up from Zadomir to Udril? Do you build a really big ladder? You could build a really big ladder if it could sort of hold itself together. You can fly. You can teleport through runic doors. Um, and if you live in the Mechanolith, you can climb all the way up through tunnels to the higher levels. Um, uh, the Udril, anything flying up from Zadomir to Udril is going to get sort of a bit battled, and it's difficult for things to get up over the edge of Arlon, but some things do. Um, Mostly the forces of Zadomir want to try and get up through the mountain. It's the easiest, safest, most reliable way. It's there. There's a bloody big mountain. Flying out into the ether is dangerous for other reasons. You can lose your way flying in a straight line in the ether. So it's tricky. It's tricky. But occasionally the odd dragon makes its way up, and comes and terrorizes the world. That kind of thing. Then the scale hit me in the face. The scale hit you in the face. Well, don't get that close to the screen. Sorry, I'm a dad. I'm allowed. So that's kind of a crap version of what I want the map to look like. I'm thinking about asking Daniel to do a view from the ether of like a ship flying in towards the world mountain. You're seeing some of the layers. You won't be able to see all of them all at the same time properly. So yeah, so that's the world. Now, played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, played a lot of Pathfinder. I like a lot of stuff in Pathfinder 2, like the combat action economy. I like loads of stuff about D&D. I'd like to make a game that could be in there somewhere in the mix. There's loads of OSR stuff and all the different flavors now. And just kind of stripping it down to that bare, early version. That's not really where I'm going. I want to have some of that old school feel, so that I've changed the name of saving throws and stuff like that back to older style things. But I want to have some modern mechanics in there, like the critical rolls from Pathfinder 2. So if you roll a 20 or 10 above the DC, then you will get a critical, and the same with a failure. If you roll 10 below the DC, then you get a critical failure. Those kinds of things. I like that kind of thing, kind of degrees of success. And that some things, even on a failure, something positive will happen, or perhaps feats that allow that to happen. So as a fighter goes up, for example, it may be that even if they fail on or they could use an ability, if they fail on an attack roll, the enemies still take, a small amount of damage, because they're just like so competent in battle that even if they don't land a main strike, the other guy has like puffed himself out just dodging out of the way, because we have to remember that hit points aren't just blood, they're other stuff as well. I've added a hit dice mechanic, so your hit dice is like a pool of dice, and you can spend them on the abilities. Let's get the fighter up. Where are we? So the fighter, here we go. This might, help you to see some of the stuff that's going on. Why play a fighter? Oh, Wojciech, thank you very much for the lovely art here at the moment. Art by the awesome. And I like the proficiency. I've got a combo proficiency system between Pathfinder, and D&D 5th edition. So in D&D 5th edition, your proficiency goes up with your level, but there's only one slice of proficiency, and there's a bit of a clunky thing in 5e that occasionally, with things like expertise for rogues, you get to like add half of your proficiency again, and it's like a really weird. They could have just had another level of proficiency that you could take, and it go, well, you're now not proficient, you're now a master in something, for example, and you calculate what that number is ahead of time. Now in Pathfinder 2, if you play it by the core rulebook and ignoring some of the games mastery stuff, as you level up, you add your level to all of your bonuses on top of your proficiency, which basically means that eventually your proficiency becomes the lesser part of your bonus. So I'm kind of trying to find somewhere in between. So what I've coming up with is, where are we? No, not in there. Oh, stuff about alignments. Get Kargan excited. Here we go. Proficiency. So yeah, proficiency. Now 3 levels of proficiency: novice, expert, master. I wanted to use apprentice, journeyman, and master, but those words are too long, and I like the idea of these 3 6-letter words. These come from the Dungeon Master computer game by FTL. It's an old game on the Amiga that I played, and I love that game. And you leveled up in fighter, ninja, wizard, and priest, and you went from like, what was it, neophyte, novice, apprentice, journeyman. It didn't have level 1, 2, 3, 4. It had names of the levels, which it was just a little bit of flavour. I like that. And I'm tempted to go into the classes and name the levels of the class to just have some of that old school, like the basic box set where it said, oh, level 1 fighter is this and level 1 magic user is this, and then just tack them together for the elf. It was like, yeah. So basically my proficiency count on that game is the best dungeon crawl game I've ever played. I still go back to it. It's fantastic. Such a good magic system in that computer game. Anyway, I digress. So proficiency goes up as you level, but also up as you become more experienced, as you train. Sorry. So you are able to become a master in crafting without having to become a level 5 character. Skills can level outside of proficiency. Sorry. Let me get that right. Skill proficiencies can go up and upgrade outside of level, so you don't have to get levels in fighter to get your proficiency in a skill up. So if you're novice at first level, it's +1, expert is +3, master is +5, and then those upgrade. And I've just done up to level 5 for now. I'm just trying this out, seeing what what works, what doesn't. So as you saw with the fighter, he is novice in simple and martial weapons, novice in unarmored, light armor, medium armor, novice in athletics, craft, dungeoneering, influence, perception, novice in poison and evasion, and nothing in spellcasting. So like 5th edition, there will be these add to different things as well. And in Pathfinder 2e, it's like if you're proficient in armor, you add that number to your armor class. With skills, you'll add that to your d20 roll and add your appropriate ability modifier, etc. Saving throws, it's the same principle as 5th edition where you're proficient in the saving throw. I just have sort of old school named proficiencies, saving throws. So it's that's one of the old little, it's one or two little things I want to have from the old days and some things from the new days. So it's like a fusion, something that lots of people who like different types of Dungeons and Dragons might find something in here that they go, oh, I like that. Um, running around like normal, fighting like a mad adventurer. Underground and maybe growing if you took ability reduction as you took your point damage, then that might be close to real life. Yep, there. I mean, that's a possibility. I don't. The problem is, I'm straying away from Dungeons and Dragons as it is now in several areas. I don't want to have everything be different, and I'm, you know, quite that hit point system's okay. You know, I don't think D&D is about those funky critical hits. To me, that's always a grimmer, darker setting like Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. You know, that's just kind of, yeah, Spiral of Death is fun in the right kind of game. So you get hurt, you get worse. Therefore, you're more likely to get hurt and more likely to get worse and then more likely to die. That's fine. I still want this version of D&D to feel heroic, but not super heroic, if you get the difference. So, you know, not D&D 4th edition, but not basic, where you're kind of like, I've got a sword, I can hit things, and that's all I can do for 9 levels until I get a keep. I want there to be cool stuff to be going on, learning different things, abilities to use, feats to use. But the difference in this version of D&D, as most of you will probably know, is the goals. That type of game, yeah. No, Grimwolf UK. It's not. It's the goals. So the other big thing. Where were we? Let's go back to my document. Is leveling. Characters don't level by gaining experience points. Instead, you complete advances associated with your class. These advances require you to complete certain goals, upon doing which you'll get a cool feat, spell, proficiency upgrade, or even hit dice. When you've completed 3 advances at your current level, you level up. Then the previous level's advances go away, and a new set for your new level come in. You'll need to play your character differently in order to get different advances. You want to get better at fighting? Go fight. You want to learn more spells? Cast spells and read scrolls. Each class has specific entries for the advances available to them, and therefore the kinds of activities that the class will benefit from practicing. So the idea being, you know, and this kind of came from 2 places, as I said last time. My game Dodeca, where we had this kind of narrative character development, where at the end of a few sessions, you'd all agree on something that was really cool that your character did. You know, you, the GM, and one other player had to agree that it was cool enough that you could put up a skill in relation to that statement. Dodeca, yeah. You're not wrong, Shadow. You did need to have caps. I love Dodeca. Thanks, Calnan. Need to play that again at some point. I haven't played that in a while. In Dodeca, you would go, I fought that goblin, the goblin king, and I killed him. Great, right. So I'm going to put my prowess up. So defeated the goblin king was my next step in my journey, and the bonus I got was +1 prowess. Okay, cool. This and something Matt Colville's been talking about on his channel, which I've been watching a bit of, talking about goals, providing goals, has made me think, oh, and he said, I can't redesign 5th edition D&D mainly from a kind of sales perspective. I thought, well, I'm just little old me over here, so I'll have my heartbreaker and make my own game. Who cares? Off topic. Are there any plans to do any Twilight 2000? There's nothing in the works right now. Nothing in the works for that. However, who are our friends? Who are our friends? Infinite Monkey Tales? Is that the one? Yeah, Infinite Monkey Tales. If you go and check out Infinite Monkey Tales, they've got a Twilight 2000 show going on at the moment, and it looks like they're getting into all the tactical stuff, you know. So lots of maps going on. Like the new Descent game from FFG has that kind of advancement type. You complete certain actions multiple times in order to unlock new feats for heroes. Is that a tabletop? Is that a board game or a role-playing game now in Zeka? Like the Orcs hunting Boromir. I'm not too sure. That was in-game, but you do get things for doing it. called Kisartha. A friend of mine recently got that. That also works with individual goals versus party goals. So the way it's going to work is there's going to be class goals that will give you your feats and your funky stuff, your spells, your prayers, all those kinds of things. Skills will then also have advances associated with them, which will allow you to progress your proficiency in a skill without worrying about level or class. The reason I did this is because in Pathfinder 2e, your level being attached to your proficiency score directly and superseding at certain points means the greatest craftsmen in the land are only those who are level 20 characters. And I didn't want it to have to be that, you know, the greatest baker in the land has to have been the greatest warrior in the land, just or the greatest wizard in the land. So my total proficiency bonus is the highest ever. So, have we got the right thing on the screen? No. So that's the leveling bit there, and proficiency. Hopefully, you guys actually saw this when I was talking about it. Level, novice, expert, master, and then something actually talking to Kargan today made me think of something extra. But there'll be advances that you can get from monsters, which I'll show you one in a bit. Or things or modifications to advances. There will be advances in adventures. So any adventure I come up with, and I'm going to write a short adventure to go, not for the initial playtest, but shortly after, I think, to be an example of the advances that you can get by, you know, we cleared out the tower over here. You know, maybe you get the tower as a base of operations. You did this for the village, you get +1 on all persuade rolls with the locals. You know, those kinds of things. You can get all those kind of benefits that come from doing it, and you can inform the players beforehand. You know, doing that will give you a bonus in the town. Maybe not exactly what it is, but to steer the behavior or to sort of help them identify adventure locations. You might have a really cool map with loads of points on it, you know, and you have to do it narratively. You don't just say, oh, yes, if you do that, you get +1 to that. But you would say, oh, the folk have been telling tales of a lost sword in the castle to the north, an ancient magical sword, and then they know that there's like a direct kind of reward going on there. That would be quite cool. And then the other thing I thought about today was alignment. We were talking about alignment earlier on, and Kargan and Wojciech and I having a bit of a chat in our Gaming with a Garblag channel. Gaming with a Garblag is what you can do if you join our Patreon. Certain tiers, people get to play with us once a month, and at the moment I've been playing with the patrons through some Undred World Mountain Pathfinder 2e stuff, and I'm hoping that some of them might be up for playtesting this version of D&D that I'm creating. Yeah, exactly. You're right, dungeons are very expensive to dig, but if you're a mad wizard and you've got that transmute earth to mud or shape stone spell, then you're well away, aren't you? I was thinking about alignment, and you know, I was and how I might change it, or I might rename some of them. So you've got your 9 alignment grid, and the problem is it can feel a bit sort of rigid, like I'm lawful good, this means this, and then you go, oh, they can never do that, and it's kind of, I don't think anyone is ever one alignment. I think we probably have periods of our life, large chunks where it might change. Yes, and it's loads of fun. We are the mirror. Yeah, you are the mirror universe of the cast. You're competent. No, it's fun. It's fun. You've gone to a different location as well, which is good. And to see a different part of the kind of story. We'll talk about that later. Yeah, that with alignment or motivation, as I might change it to, it would be cool to have advances or rewards based on acting along the kind of tenets or code of that alignment. Yeah, Conan, I like the alignment in Palladium games. I had a look at that the other day. Got heroes. Oh, I think I've got TMNT PDF somewhere. And yeah, it's going to be a blend of that and D&D alignment. I still think it's going to be called alignment just because, again, I don't want everything to be completely different. I want to modify stuff so it works a little bit better, or how I would like it to work in D&D, and go, yeah, people might feel a bit more comfortable if the alignment chaotic evil was called selfish, and lawful neutral was called traditional, and things like that, just so that they have those groups are there, but people see it as 9 boxes rather than one continuum where you kind of move between. We're talking about it, and I was saying, they were saying, "Oh, what's the alignment of the nation that we're working for?" And I said, "Oh, well, they were chaotic good because they started a civil war for a good reason. They wanted to get free of the tyranny of the king of Nolos, who is mostly lawful neutral, but sometimes he's lawful evil and sometimes he's lawful good, as a country more than the person. But now they've break free, they've got their own nation, and they're kind of having to figure out who they are a bit. So they're probably slipped to neutral good because they are trying to help people. They're trying to make the area safer, and have, trade and stuff. Trade comes with tariffs and laws, and dealing with the other cities that have broken away from Nolos it means you have to set up these trade agreements and send out ambassadors and all that kind of stuff. And there's a big signing of the end of the Civil War, and all that kind of stuff. So they're kind of creeping a bit more towards laws and order and that kind of stuff, because now they don't want people just to be on a war footing all the time. They want to have a prosperous city. So it's that kind of thing. How do we think about it? How does it flow? Um, and if people start acting a certain way, you should, as a GM, I think you should say, well, just to let you know, your character sheet says lawful neutral, but you've been torturing this guy on command by your king to get information out of him, but you seem to be enjoying it a bit much. This is going to start you. If you're not careful, I'm going to change your alignment to lawful evil, because alignment is like, it's not just something you write down and then it stays like that. You have to portray it, and if you portray something else, then your alignment should change. Or you should think, hang on, no, I want my character to stay lawful neutral. I've had a brief moment of evil, or near evil, and I think evil's quite a strong word, and obviously it's a fantasy story, so they want good and evil. um a brief moment of insanity, yeah, or rage, or maybe someone you knew was died in the war, and all these kinds of things. So do you then go, oh, I'm going to go back to lawful neutral, or I'm going to go with it, and I'm going to embrace it as a role playing, not just to be a murder hobo or whatever, but like a role playing thing, like they fall into a dark place, and then you like have them come back out, like Hercules got mad and killed people and then had to walk separate. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I don't think I have the finals. I've started writing out, getting my. Oh no, not in here. Wrong one. I've got my little grid out, and I'm going to start like. I'm also going for unaligned. I'd never like true neutral. No one. They couldn't ever describe what a sentient creature is true neutral. Just all the descriptions didn't sit with me very well. So I I've gone for unaligned because it'll be that I feel is mostly like for animals, or automatons, mindless creatures, that kind of stuff. Like rock grubs, one of my faves. They're not evil. They don't know any better. They are just trying to eat and survive. And if that happens to be your arm, like the dude in the picture, rock grubs, then tough. Neutral. Okay, cool. Right, talked about skills last time. 10 skills, bit of stuff. Talked about classes last time. Fighter, cleric, magic user, thief. They're the 4 core ones, which I'm going to work on for levels 1 to 3. Chaos, undecided alignment. Yeah. So a traumatic event in your life could prompt a change in alignment. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. It could steer you away or towards something, couldn't it? If you're someone very close to you gets killed or something, you might go, your character might seek vengeance on them no matter what the cost. I look forward to the Paladin one. I recently played Paladin at 5e. A friend of mine said, "You're all terrible at it. That's why there's so many of them." Okay, that's yeah. Um, yeah, Paladin's in there. I like Paladin. I mean, I like what Pathfinder did with calling it champion, but Paladin is just a word I want in my game. It's got that feel to it. Also, barbarians. Why do all barbarians rage? I've changed it to berserker because barbarian's more of a background thing than a class thing, I think. God, you can hold an ideal oath as well. Yeah, Sharadel, they're champions, and it's basically so you can have different alignment ones, and you have like an avenger, a liberator, or it might be a paladin. I'm not sure. I've got the book over there, but I can't be bothered to go and look at it. Someone look at Archives of Nethys and see what's going on. So going to do fighter, cleric, magic user, thief, 3 levels of each for their abilities. And the abilities was what I was going to talk a bit about. I've been doing all kind of rough stuff in here. Got some cleric spells. Been working on the first few levels of cleric, trying to get magic down or start it. As you can see, I'm doing like action costs because I'm going to use the 3 action system from Pathfinder 2e. Can't copyright rules. I like it, and I think the thing I've found that players have a little challenge with is that there are things that they think shouldn't be an action that are an action, but in segmenting everything out and saying you have 3 actions per turn and everything you do, like raising your shield as an action, people don't like that. I know people don't like the raising a shield as an action because it feels like, well, I've got my shield out. I would use it. And it's like, yeah, you would use it, and you using it is an action. I'm thinking, do I have raise shield in there, or just do I assume if someone's wearing their shield, they get a bonus for it, you know? But like an attack, a move, a step, a shove, a trip, all that kind of stuff. It's all going to be action points. Taking stuff out of your backpack, that's an action. Then drinking it, that's an action. So there's loads of people are like, oh, I should just let people drink potions for free because it's more fun. And I'm like, yeah, it's fun, but it's kind of, if you're breaking things down so much into your actions, then I think you need to kind of keep a little level of, I want to say realism, but that's not the right word. Verisimilitude, the appearance of realism. Oh yeah, I started mocking up. Brilliant. See, sometimes I put stuff in notes, and then sometimes I go in straight into a layabout. Kargan, you're spot on. And let's go over to L. So what I've been doing is I thought for a good playtest, what you need is some bad guys. And not that all hobgoblins are bad guys, as I state quite clearly in the text, because some of them have gone off. That's why you need a potion belt or bandolier. Calnan, that's cool. Yeah. I may even have it that like a thief might get an ability where they can get stuff out of their bag quickly, that kind of thing. You know, I wanted to have there's options for things to come in and improve things. You know, not just be like, oh, I want everything to be a freebie at the beginning. It's like, no, you're a level 1 character, and you do need to learn some stuff, learn some tricks out there in the world. I think probably that might be a dungeoneer kind of thing. You know, or quickly pull the potion out because we're in close quarters with a gelatinous cube, and I need to heal up before I get absorbed or something. So what I've been trying to do, and I might actually zoom in a bit for this, just to give you guys a bit of a better view. Oh, hang on. How do I? Doesn't like me doing that. Here we go. PDF. Whoop. There we go. So what I've been doing is gain shield proficiency. I've actually wrapped shields up into the different levels of armor. So light armor, you can use a buckler. Medium armor, you can use a shield, and heavy armor, you can use a kite, like a tower shield or a kite shield. Just for ease, like I've been tangling with the weapon proficiencies, like you were saying, but you might get a bonus to your shield, or I think there's a fighter ability, a feat I've called Shield Strike, which is if you shove 5 opponents in melee combat, then you can gain the feat Shield Strike, and then when you go to shove using your shield, you do extra damage or something, or you push them further, something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. Here we can see the Bractigar Grunt, who is a hobgoblin. What happens when I do this? Can you see all of the other side? Not quite. I want to be able to show you both sides of this document. Being very bravely not being. Also, I finally got. Oh, cool! Alien book is en route. Excellent. That Alien is fantastic. It's a great game. As you know, I absolutely love it, and we've done it several times on the channel. I've enjoyed running it. I've enjoyed playing it. It's really nice. Anyway, back to Hobgoblins. So you'll see here I've written minion. Well, it's our fault. Yeah. There's a lot of people who blame us for them buying books. They should write to the companies that they're buying books from and tell them that it was our fault. What does armor expertise give you? Being hit 10 times to go up in armor expertise seems odd. Armor expertise gives you... no, you defeat opponents while wearing armor to go up in armor expertise. And as you're better with armor, your arm class improves. Because you learn how to move in it better. Yeah, your proficiency bonus adds on to your armor class. When I get June, I will legit inform them. See if maybe they can. Yeah, we've been chatting. We ask people, you know, from time to time. Some people do it, some people don't. Some people only do it if you're, you know, famous. So we'll see. We'll see. So anyway, I've said like originally hailing from Udril, the layer of the world mountain often referred to as the Underdark, because what I wanted to do was have all these parts of the world that have a link to existing D&D and Pathfinder, but are my own thing. So there's familiar things people recognize. So if you go Udril, the Underdark, people go, oh, I can think about what kind of things go on in the Underdark. Hobgoblins are strong, cunning people, often a touch taller than humans. They have reddish skin, powerful frames, and thick hair. They're distant relatives of goblins and bugbears, but tend to look down on them as chaotic or stupid. Many believe they are an evil race, however things are never quite so black and white. Today there are many hobgoblins living among the societies of Arlon, having made their own way out of Udril and the dark clutches of Bractigar. The militaristic nation has absorbed all hobgoblin holds and clans into the vast military machine that it points upwards in jealousy and resource-hungry expansionism. So, yeah, you can play a hobgoblin. You will be able to play a hobgoblin. And part of your role-playing, part of your... it's all right, I'm not going to worry about typos at the moment too much. Part of the role-playing thing of being a hobgoblin will be like, oh, there's this nation of Braktakar, which everyone kind of sees as, but it's like, no, that it's just like the kind of tyrants have taken over, and there are people trying to escape Braktakar all the time. Braktakar has stormed the World Mountain on the realm, Arlon, and now challenges to take control of areas of land on Arlon itself. Because of this incursion, most believe hobgoblins to be evil. Some are, but many are not. What is true is that they are clever people who have used technology and order to excel in the dark chaos of Udril. So it's quite a chaotic, dark place, and because of their logic and their strength, hobgoblins have risen to the top of the goblinoid pile. I like hobgoblins. I don't know, I've got a thing about hobgoblins. So, one thing I liked about 4th edition D&D, and as you can see, I'm kind of pulling bits from all the different editions to like bring it all together to try and make like this special fusion. And do we have a decision on where on the Woothrup to Green bodybuilders do? I think they're probably more Woothrup 1st edition looking orcs, if that works. They're not like huge bodybuilders. They're more human proportions with different faces and slightly longer arms, limbs. I think like the new Warhammer ones. Have you seen the new? I can't remember any of the faction names of it. They're like Skull Rippers or something. I can't remember, but they look a bit more like that, a bit more old school. Not Oryx, or giant, handsome bodybuilder guys. Cruel Boys. Yeah, that's the one. A little bit like Cruel Boys. Somewhere between Woothrup 1st edition orcs and Cruel Boys in the Age of Sigmar. That's the one. No. None of that. Okay, so Hobgoblin Brigand is a minion. Now, this idea, see, covering fire. In Dodecker, I have an action where if you have something, you can take cover, and that's specifically against ranged attacks. So it may be that they can get an extra bonus against ranged attacks or something. If you take that action at the end of your turn, like you're covering yourself, then you could protect yourself. But that's probably bigger shields, so that might be attached to the heavy shield, the big shield. That shield will allow you to do something like that. There's a lot to work out, and it's great that you guys kind of throw all this. They are still Oryx anyway. Yeah, but they don't look like the other Oryx, do they? No, in a second. The other Oryx are like huge in massive armor, like they look like Blood Bowl characters, Whereas the Cruel Boys look a bit more like, they look almost like Lord of the Rings kind of things. Anyway, yeah. So what I wanted to have was, as you can see in here, I've got like a motivation, and the motivation for a monster is going to be tied to its morale. So I haven't written any text for this, and I haven't decided it all yet. But basically, there'll be hints in the motivation as to how and there'll be like a whole bunch of like 20 motivations that you can apply to a monster, and it'll be like greed. It's after stuff. It's trying to steal things. If it sees people with shiny stuff, it will go and take it. And if it becomes clear that it cannot take it, make a morale check. And a morale check is just a flat D20 roll. Yeah. But I think I need to swap them around. I think I need to think about that, because that would be a roll low, whereas all the rolls are roll high. So I need to change that, because I want all the rolls to work the same way. I don't want any of this. Oh, on this one you want to roll a high number, and this one you want to roll a low number. Okay. No riding trolls or rancors. Uh, so you've got your stats in there. You've got your 5 saving throws: poison, charm, device, evasion, spell. Your initiative modifier, motivation, and morale. So if your motivation gets compromised, you then have to make a morale. Methods to motivation. Maybe. I think that would be like the text under each motivation. It'll be like they like to do it like this. They tend to attack from the front, or they like to sneak around. That kind of thing. Yeah, I know nothing. No, what I found funny about the Rancor thing in just talk about Book of Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett. The He said they're gonna destroy the town. Hang on, I'll go and get something. He went off and very quickly, a little too quickly, managed to go all the way back to his palace and leave his ship behind, but pick up the Rancor. And that Rancor must have been knackered by the time it ran back, and then trash the town with the Rancor. That was the bit that I found funny. I mean, the fight was cool, and there was lots of cool stuff going on, and a couple of silly bits. But the one thing I thought was, he's just destroyed half the town with the Rancor. It's like, anyway. Um, uh, cool. So you got all your stat modifiers in there. Now minions have 1 hit point, and this is something I saw in 4th edition that I thought sounded pretty cool. Like, these are the guys that are the background characters, or you've got the leader and some minions, and a minion, he flew the Rancor with his jetpack to the city. Maybe the Rancor's got its own jetpack as well, but it ran out of fuel. Yeah, and it has magical time travel between planets, but generally not. Anyway, let's not go. Let's not go there. I start getting on a rant on internal consistency, and then people think I'm really old, grumpy old git. So, I'm gonna have minions in this game. So minions are designed that they are annoying, but they're easy. Well, they only take 1 hit to kill. Something that can make people feel heroic, and you can have like a gang of hobgoblin brigands, and you know that your party of heroes will probably take them down pretty quick. But that's where you throw in another kind of hobgoblin. And this is where another part of the design comes in, that I want to have multiple types of each creature, not taking up a huge thing. Each one has its own ability, and you can see right here we've got the Hobgoblin Brigand, who's a minion that does range attacks, really, with a short bow, return fire. This is their special ability. They all have their own little ability. Some of them have the same ability, but they all have a little ability. Return fire. The Brigand is prepared to return fire. The Brigand is missed reaction. The Brigand is missed by a range attack and still has ammunition. Duration instantaneous. Effect. The Brigand may immediately make a step action, which is 5-foot move, like a little 1 square on a grid, and a ranged attack against the attacker with a -2 penalty to hit in either order. So you could either shoot and step, or step and shoot. And this will make them annoying, because if you not only if you miss the annoying minion, if minions skirmishing with missile weapons will wear the heroes down, crit them to death. This is the way of the minion. Yeah. You just, as the GM, you just don't put like 100 minions in, or if you do, you're making an encounter where you want to kill your party, or action as well for minions. I had thought about that. And I may have some stuff which is like minions can do this, leaders can do that. I don't know, but we'll see. As I said, there's lots to figure out, and I am but one tired, busy dad. So that's the idea for them. You've got a little bit in here. I'm going to make these bundles of kit, Traveler's Pack, just going to be like 5 or 6 things, same as I did in Dodeca, where you can buy a pack. I mean, they've done it in D&D as well for a while. It's a handy little thing. Here's a bunch of stuff that comes in one bag, costs you a few gold or something. Easy for players to then not have to like rifle through a big list. I'll still have the big list of like 10-foot pole, ladder, 50-foot rope, climbing spikes, all that kind of stuff. But then what else we got? We've got here. This is why I came here. Shield block. So here's a potential good use of a shield. So instead of going into all the detail of Pathfinder 2, where every type of shield has a hardness and a hit points and all that kind of stuff, I thought that's quite a lot of stuff. Yes, yes, Naranizeka. Go and write that down in the Garblags and Gulags channel on Discord. What you've just said there about sweeping strike. That's cool. That's very cool. For equipment, including a yeah. Path builder. It's in the book, isn't it? You can start with like a fighter's pack, or I don't want it to be so literal. Like, here's the pack for your class. I want it to be like the kind of people who are working in the world. So there might be a craftsman's pack, there might be a traveler's pack. I've got a bunch of names in Dodeca that I will use for that. Practical grunt, different motivation. So this is like power, wanting to subdue others. Higher morale, because he's a frontline kind of guy. He's going to run away less. Still got a short bow, but got a mace and shield, importantly. Shield block, the grunt sacrifices his shield against their blow. The brigand takes damage from reaction. The brigand takes damage from a melee attack and still has their shield in hand. Duration instantaneous effect. The grunt raises its shield to absorb up to 10 damage from the melee attack. The shield is lost and the soldier suffers -1 armor class. Because obviously he's lost his shield, so his armor class goes down. And he's no longer got it, but it can be that this minion who's in close combat can take an extra hit. If it's like a light hit, he can sacrifice his shield, then it's even easier for you to kill him, but he takes another round. Now, some warriors will be able to do 11 points of damage and kill the guy outright, even if he did a shield block. So, it has that, it can only do a certain amount. Because you don't want him to be like, oh, I've cast my fireball, and he goes, shield block. And you're like, oh, hang on, that fireball did 57 points of damage. That minion would be toast. It's like fireball and things might just have all minions within the area die, something like that. And then we go on to non-minions, so creatures with hit dice. And as I said earlier on, hit dice in my game are a resource. So you spend them and you recover them when you rest. Now this happens in 5th edition, but only very fractionally. And when you do a short rest, you can spend any number of hit dice to heal, and you roll those dice and you heal that many hit points. Then when you get a long rest, you can recover up to half of your hit dice. So if you have a short rest and you blow your load and recover all your hit points, roll all your dice, at your next long rest you'll only get up to half, and then you're in a worse situation for your next short rest. I'm not sure most people follow that strictly. I'm not sure. I'm not doing that. I'm not having short rest and long rest, we're just having rests. But hit dice are to be used as a pool, and heroes would better use them. They limit things. A cleric, for example, can cast a number of spells per day up to their number of hit dice without annoying their god. If they go beyond that, they have to start making rolls to see if they draw too much attention from their god, who goes, "You've done enough today. I'm not too concerned about what you're doing. I don't want you saying my name again. Stop for the rest of the day." And then they have none of their cleric powers for the rest of the day. So don't annoy your god. And magic users will literally use a hit die to cast a spell. Now they'll have some cantrip powers that they can get that they can just use at will, like cantrips. But I'm not going to have a whole huge list of cantrips and 400 spells. It's going to be a trimmed down list. It's going to be a bit tighter. I'm going to look at the common spell lists in the books and think, which spells are the most fun? Which ones do people use? And then a few utility ones, because you want to be able to have like, oh, I've done something special with, I don't know, Mage Hand or something to like, unlock the door from afar and all that kind of stuff. Access, maybe look at Vanilla World of Warcraft for ideas of feats abilities. Abilities to wield Two-handed weapons. Dual wield two-handed. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No stuff like that. I mean, I've got a whole load of resources. I've got all the current 5th edition stuff with all the feats in there. Although there's not as many feats. I've got this is proving very useful. Now, a lot of people don't like 4th edition, but it has got lots of kind of funky named powers and what they do and all that kind of stuff. But I do want to throw some other stuff in there. One attack spell with option of what elemental effect it has. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, so they'll be a bit different. I also want to have a think of some new spells and some different stuff. So we've got the Hobgoblin Assassin, who is a 1 hit dice creature, who might hang out with some brigands, for example. It could be like at a low level, you could have a gang of minions and a Hobgoblin Assassin as a little counter to attack, and you think, right, how's this gonna go? Maybe throw a grunt in there, just to have someone who's going to run in and get in close combat, that kind of thing. I want you to have different options in the same type of monster, because not all hobgoblins are the same. And their ability is Poison Strike, so they've got Poison Vial. The assassin deploys a powerful poison, action 2, so it takes 2 out of 3 actions. The assassin spends a hit dice and then makes a melee or ranged attack. So basically they are dipping a weapon into their poison vial and then attacking with it as one thing. So that costs them 2 actions. Effect: if the strike is successful, the target takes 2 poison damage each round until they make a DC 14 poison save made at the end of their round. So at the end of their round, they make a save, and if they pass, then they stop taking damage. I'm gonna think about the wording of stuff like that. I might take persistent 2, and that kind of stuff. But there's a certain bit of Pathfinder 2e and D&D 4th edition, which the language is very gamified. And do I want to go that far? I don't know. Do I want to use more of the kind of in-world language like this, more natural language? I'll have a think about that. But yeah, so this, again, just a little thing, nothing too bad, nothing too dangerous, but they could sneak in, close combat. They've got thievery +6. Oh, thoughts on Gloomstalker build? Hello, Absurd. Welcome to the chat. Excuse me, I need to cough for a moment. Okay. Skaven Monster Manual. What, a whole book on Skaven? That'd be interesting. Thoughts on Gloomstalker build? You're talking about Ranger Gloomstalkers. Absurd. Is that what you mean by that? I don't really have any thoughts on that. And then I've gone for something a little bit more interesting. Here, Ranger. So I will have Ranger. So the Ranger is going to be part of my rebuild of D&D. And they're going to have some thief powers and some bloodcaster, which is a type of magic user that uses blood and does charms and things. Kind of maybe a bit of druid to make it a bit more nature based, but we'll see. 5th level Gloomstalker and 15th level Assassin. Well, there's a 20th level character. I played a 5th level and 15th. Cool. Wow. 20th level. Blimey. I've never got to a 20th level. One of the reasons I'm not designing something right now to get to put 20 levels in it is I've never played a character past 12th. So I'm just kind of focusing on the first 5 levels, and in fact the first 3 levels with the abilities and stuff, just for the play test. I want to get something going, get it out there, get people playing it, try it out, and then sort of feedback. that kind of thing, and all kinds of ideas about different kinds of abilities and attacks and things is really cool. If anyone does have anything they think that I should definitely include, we have a channel on the Discord, which I'll just pop the link in there again. And the channel is called Garblags and Gulags, which is just my silly made-up name for my version of D&D. Giphy Glyph. Okay. So here we have the Braktakar Veteran, who is a 2 hit dice creature. And he is a melee combatant, breastplate, longsword, shield, traveler's pack, 2d6 silver pieces, not copper pieces. I'm toning down the money stuff, so it's not like thousands of gold pieces everywhere. It's like mostly silver pieces, and then gold pieces are nice. And he has got 2 abilities. He's got hang on, that looks a bit untidy there. There we go. He's got Mighty Blow. So the veteran digs deep. I need to rename this actually, because there is a feat called Mighty Blow. They're kind of 2 things the same. So I'm going to call that like Savage Blow or something like that. The veteran spends a hit die after making a successful melee attack. The veteran adds an additional 1d4 to the damage of the attack. So the veteran's got 2 hit dice, so he can only do that twice. But it makes him a slightly more interesting character that might do it. Okay. Oh, Millie. Hey, Millie. How you doing? Good to see you. So Mighty Blow, yeah. So a Braktakar veteran, this hobgoblin leader kind of character. It's interested in superiority. It's got a higher arm class because it's effectively a level 2 character. It's got better stats, better saves, better initiative. He can add some extra damage to an attack if he drops a hit die. Now, obviously, these creatures aren't going to come back unless they're like NPCs or villains or something. Links in your channel to look cool. Okay, thanks, Grimwolf. They're not really going to come back, so I've got to think these guys are going to be able to do this. This guy's going to be able to do this twice. Yeah, so he's going to be able to add some extra damage onto a couple of attacks. And he also has the shield block. If the grunts can do a shield block, then the veteran can definitely do a shield block. And he can absorb up to 10 damage from a melee attack. The shield is lost. Now, the extra thing about the Braktakar veteran that the players are interested in is that he is a worthy opponent. Character who deals a killing blow to the Braktakar veteran may count them as 2 combatants toward an appropriate advance. I need to figure out the wording on that, but basically, the fighter who is here, for example, Armored Warrior says defeat 10 combatants in melee combat while wearing armor. If you defeat the Braktakar veteran in melee while wearing armor, you can tick 2 of those off instead of 1. So some bad guys are so crafty at that tier that they would give you a bonus. Now, I may have to reword that for like a certain level or a tier or something. I'm thinking of calling them tiers, groups of levels. And I'm thinking the game will probably be levels 1 to 10 ultimately, and that you'd have, would minions count as half or less? I'm not sure on that one, to be honest. I'm not sure. I'd have to see how it goes. I think the thing about minions is they can still dish out just as much damage, and you're only really guaranteeing their death on a single blow. If you think a standard hobgoblin with a bow and arrow has probably got like 6 or 7 hit points anyway. So the hobgoblin assassin's got 7 hit points. He may not survive 1 attack anyway. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? We'll see. This would be part of the playtest, but it's a very good question. And do whack that in the Garblags and Gulags channel for me, Counter, because that That's a good thought to have. There we go. Yeah, big target. Defeat 8 outnumbered combatants in melee combat. Gain the distracting strike feat. So I had a little bit of a change around with some of the fighter advances. I had some ranged attack based ones early on, and I thought, no, what I'm going to do is going to push them to level 2 and 3, but the ranger will get them level 1 and 2, because there'll be some commonality between all the warriors, and then between all the clerics, and then between all the thieves, and between all the magic users, and also, yes, for example, the thief class assassin. The assassin will get some of the fighter stuff because they're a bit better at, killing people. And the ranger will have some of the thief stuff because they're good at kind of being a little bit sneaky and survivalist and all that kind of stuff. So there's going to be a bit of crossover. There won't be multi-classing. So you won't be able to be a fighter thief. If you want to be a fighter thief, play a ranger. Yeah. There won't be a fighter cleric. You could play a paladin or you could play a templar, who's a guardian of a religious order rather than a holy warrior with a cause, that kind of thing. So I'm kind of going away from multi-class. I'm kind of baking multi-class into these extra classes that I'm creating, as it were. That's cool. Okay, so let's have a look. We've got armored warrior, basic form. So this is kind of upping your proficiency in fighting, effectively. Just going right. Okay, and here I've got simple, martial, and gunpowder. But I think after conversations in the Discord, I might change that to melee, ranged, and gunpowder. How about pets and companions? Paladin with Squire. Is the Squire a pet? I am thinking about attracting followers and hirelings, and not just paladins with pets, but fighters. If you manage to convince a bard to write a song about your adventure, then maybe you get a bonus to your reputation, and then if your reputation gets to a certain level, you might attract followers. I think in certain adventures, there would be opportunities with certain NPCs to get them as followers as well. So it may be like there's a young lad who works in the stables, and if the paladin's particularly impressive or kills certain things, or I don't know, this is where it can go. Then that would happen, and you can lay that out as a goal that they could think about, or a reward that might come up. A bit of guidance for the GM on how some of these things might occur. We've got big target, defeat outnumbered combatants to get distracting. So that's where they can distract them from other people, and then go, hey, look at me, I'm the fighter, come and fight me. Basically, the fighter class is all about taking damage, getting hit. There's a bit of range combat later if you want to do that, so you get a bit better. Yeah, you could get a Daskier for your Witcher, definitely. Martin NPC as follower. Yeah, Conan. I forgot about that. Yeah, Tears of the Dreamer. Wow, that's in the World Mountain setting as well. I really enjoyed running that one, actually. It was my first proper delve into Pathfinder 2. So that's cool. Mechanical race you have in the game. Come on then, Naren Izeka. You can't say that and then not tell me. Absolutely. Perfect. Now we've got hero in training. This is to get your hit die. On each level, there will be an advance to gain a hit die. So you could skip it if you wanted, but it's forward to next season. Yeah. I've got a lot of seasons I need to go back and do season 2 of, or 4. So I have 5 battles. Make 6 successful athletics skill checks. Then you gain a hit die, meat shield. Take the most damage in the party in 5 battles. Strong arm, roll 5 critical hits on opponents in melee combat. gain the Mighty Blow feat. That's what I was talking about before. And second level, basic forms again. You can't upgrade beyond expert with that. Bull-headed, successfully shove 5 combatants in melee combat, gain shield strike. Dual wielder, defeat 8 combatants in melee combat while wielding 2 weapons, gain the dual strike feat, which will allow you to do 2 in 1 attack, increasing your damage. Defeat 10 combatants with ranged weapons for good eye and get target defeat. Tactical expert, in 8 battles begin combat with an initiative score of 12 or higher, gain the combat senses feat. Veteran, survive 5 battles and make 5 successful saving throws, gain a hit die. And then third level, what we got in here? Basic forms again, because it would be something you haven't upgraded to expert. Beyond that, it's then going to go into the more complex forms. Endurance, make 5 successful saving throws, upgrade your proficiency in 1 saving throw, so you start to get your saving throws can go up. If you resist things, your saving throws will go up. Heavy infantry, defeat 10 combatants in while wearing 1 type of armor. First armor group to each 10 completes this. So you can upgrade your armor proficiency. Hero, another hit die, but the third hit die is quite expensive. You need to do lots of stuff. Reload, you get a fast draw feat, and survivor, you get adrenaline surge. Adrenaline surge is quite handy. That lets you, after the first fight of the day, recover a 1 hit die. To try and encourage you to have more fights. But you've had a fight, you've got into the swing of it, your adrenaline's up, you're like, oh yeah, right, let's go. So that's quite fun. Where are we? Let's turn that one off and that one on. Which one are we on? Here we go. So cleric. So this is the last bit I did. So, and these look slightly cruddy, but it's just a Google Doc that allows me to gather my thoughts and think about it. And I still, even then, I can't just write it out. I like to have a little bit of like, not, I can't say layout. That's this crap. But I thought we could go through the cleric. And what I've done is in this one I've done some of the feats up front, and then further down said when they get them. So with the cleric, magic of the gods, this one over here, the power you worship grants you powerful divine magic to wield in the name is passive. There's no duration because this is your spell casting feat. You're able to cast divine magic. Select 3 spells from the first circle of cleric spells. You're able to use these spells with the cast spell action. Your god has deemed you worthy to cast a number of spells equal to your level. Equal to your level without divine supervision. Beyond that, every time you cast a spell, you must roll to see if you have called upon your god too frequently today, causing them to hold back all divine feats. And you'll notice that these are all labeled divine feats until you have taken a long rest. So any other feats that you get, like fighting ones and all that kind of stuff that you've learned, not a problem. But anything that comes from your power will be held back. Taking I put long rest there, but it's just going to be a rest. If you fail to roll, you therefore cannot cast a spell. And then, there's a DC where like, oh, how much have you cast in the day? That's what you're rolling. So clerics can push their luck a bit and do a bit of magic beyond their level, hoping that they don't, piss their god off. Blessing. What do they start with? So they start with blessing and magic of the gods. So blessing is it's a silent prayer to your god in the hope of divine guidance. Action 1, spend a hit die. So this you can only do a certain number of times based on your hit dice. Duration 1 minute. Choose one willing person within 30 feet, 6 squares to receive the blessing of your faith. Now there are 4 different types of blessing, and the pantheon dictates, the god you are, dictates which kind of blessing they give. DC, would wisdom or charisma modify that DC to keep casting? See, now I'm thinking of having it be a spellcasting roll against the DC, so your spellcasting proficiency adds to that roll. There's still some link ups between things as I'm kind of working on them that I need to go back and go, oh yeah, I need to just put a note in there so I know to come back in. Oh, what happened there? Wrong button. So yeah, different things there. So that's your starting divine feats. Then the 3 advances are, you've got a hero in training, which isn't as hardcore as the fighter one, because your hit dice are only a d8 rather than a d10, so you don't get as many hit points, so you shouldn't have to do as much to gain it. Whether that's fair or not, we'll find out. But these kind of things are to try and sort of say, the whole point of doing the goals, these advances this way, is it'll start to, the character can see, if I do this behavior, then I get this reward for it, and if I play a cleric in this way, then I will advance in that direction. The one thing that always seems a bit odd with D&D is it's like I spent all my time talking to people, yet I go up a level, my attack bonus goes up, and there's a slight incongruity, is that the right word, between the things that characters do to get experience points or hit a milestone, depending on how you do your leveling, and what they get after that. Because it's just like, oh, you leveled up, you get backstab, and you're like, why? I didn't stab anyone in the back. How did I learn to backstab? That's just what level, that kind of thing. So I want it to be, I did something and therefore I got better, or I gained a special perk in relation to that. So use blessing 8 times on other members of the party. There you go. God bless you, my child. That's to make the cleric character help the party. So if they bless other people, then their blessing can get stronger and they can learn the prayer feat, which basically means it's the same effect as your blessing, however it now affects the number of willing targets within range equal to 1 plus your wisdom modifier. So but that's an action 3, spend a hit die. So you can do your blessing over an area for more action cost. But your fact that you've been blessing so much means you get used to like how this works and how I divvy it out and all that kind of stuff. Cast 8 spells, gain a spell. Defeat 10 combatants in melee combat while wearing armor, gain the broad shoulders feat, which means you no longer get slowed down by armor. There you go. Heal members of the party 8 times, gain the healing hands feat. Healing hands. Whenever you use a skill or spell to heal someone, you may add your charisma modifier to the amount of damage healed. And then Faith Warrior defeats 6 undead combatants in melee combat, gain the turn undead feat. Did I keep this all the same in my latest version of the Cleric? Let me have a look. Oh, not that one. Because I'm working across a few documents. That's the reason I've always liked skill systems like RuneQuest. You get better at what you do. Gain healing hands. Feet. Ha ha ha. I like it. Good wordplay. So if we roll. So I'm just in another document now, which you cannot see. Battle Cleric. Bless you, my child. Champion of Life. Yeah, I renamed them slightly. Yeah, it's interesting. Where are we? Let's go back to this one. Defeat undead combatants. Then for level 2, it starts to get a bit more interesting, as these things always do. So each type of god will have, as is tend to be, traditional weapon that forms part of their ceremonies. It's also part of their defense of their faith. Defeat 10 combatants in combat while using that weapon, and you can upgrade your proficiency in your faith sacred weapon. Because clerics get, let's get up to the thing. Clerics get novice in simple weapons. See, this is where having melee and ranged falls down. So maybe they're novice in melee weapons, or melee and ranged, and your faith sacred weapon. That's kind of complications. Or maybe that just means it could still have that. Maybe that just means they get the ability to upgrade it if they already have novice in it, and they can just upgrade it. Okay, out of that whole set of weapons. We'll see. Faith affirmed. Cast 8 spells, make 5 successful saving throws, gain a hit die. Now, one thing that I felt on here was there are a lot of stuff that required casting spells, and if you cast a spell, it can't tick off more than one of these cast a spell bubbles. So that might be good, that might be bad. You might have to think about how many days does it actually take for you, therefore, to get up a level. Not necessarily a bad thing. And then upgrade your proficiency in one saving throw. And then I haven't done a third level cleric advances yet, but I have been thinking about spells, taking some of those classic cleric spells from the rules cyclopedia, and looking at a few other things, D&D 5th edition as well, and just laying it out in this format. Cure Light Wounds, action 1, touch creature, duration instantaneous, the effect recovers 1d4 plus your wisdom modifier hit points. Now, I might actually, part of me is tempted to not have floor advancements where I could have old wound that hinders him at start, but as he triggers it more and more, he gains some other benefit. Interesting. Another interesting idea now, it's like a So when you when you create your character, they could have a floor that then has further options later on. I'll have a think. I've actually been thinking about removing levels from cleric spells and just having a big pot of cleric spells that you can get more of as you go up, and cleric magic not being destructive, being the support spells and healing, and their effect of them is related to either how many actions you put into it, or if we role play the floor there, well, you make it so that if they have a flaw, they have to feel the flaw in order to get some other benefit, and that way they will then role play the flaw. If the flaw is like, oh, this is bad, but if you just forget about it, nothing ever happens. If you have a flaw, but it says if you roleplay this 10 times, you get this thing. There you go. That's the whole ethos behind this. It's like helping players to figure out what different types of characters should do, and that you should have a look through all the classes and go, I want a character that can do this and this and this, and you go, okay, well, the options are you play this one or this one, because that progression, those kinds of things that do you want to fight stuff? Do you want to cast spells? Do you want to be skillful? Do you want to sneak around? Do you want to help everybody? What kind of thing do you want to do? Oh, I want to be the guys at the front beating the crap out of people. Okay, well, you're the fighter, clearly. That kind of thing. And here's the stuff that you need to do to advance your character. There's skill stuff you can do if you want to. Camp out night outside successfully for 10 nights in a row, and your survival skill goes up. That kind of thing. Which again will lead to different, we've got to go on an adventure, we've got to go camp outside, I want to get my survival skill up, because I know as we adventure across the land, I'm going to need it to subsist, to avoid monsters, all that kind of stuff. So let's go do what we can, so that kind of thing. But I'm thinking about cleric spells just being a pool of like 30 spells that there's no level difference between them. They all replicate a spectrum of the spells that exist for clerics in a lot of the other books. And I think there's loads of spells in a lot of these books, and you don't necessarily need all of them at the beginning. But then as you level, or depending on how many actions you spend or how many hit dice you drop on it, they do, all of the spells can ramp up and down. So I was looking at this the other day, and things like purify food and water and stuff like that, I might just get rid of because they're fun, and it's like, but that might morph into like cure malady or cure disease and poison, and like action 1, purify food and water, action 2, do this, action 3, do this, drop a hit dice on it, pumps it up, that kind of thing, so that you may only have 3 spells, but they do different things and you can power them up, and as you get more powerful, they get more powerful. I suppose a bit like warlocks in 5th edition. First level vary affects how many actions. Yeah, exactly. Canon. So we had Dan's character LaRue doing different heals, and like 1 is like direct, 2 is like an area, and 3 is like, I don't know, 2 is direct, 1 is a touch, 2 is I can't remember, but certain ways around, that kind of thing. So cure light wounds might go away, although I do like cure light wounds, cure moderate wounds, cure serious wounds. I like the names because they're just D&D. But when 5th edition came around, I thought it is cool that it's just cure wounds, and as you level up, it levels up. Grimwolf, my current D&D character is half elf. With a chat to my DM, I'm half high elf, half wood elf. But classing it as a half elf for roleplay is the version of high elf is called a moon elf with skin, etc. to match my background. Okay, cool. That sounds like fun. Yeah, it's different groups of elves and they treat each other differently, and you feel that it feels like a half elf. Then yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so that's just what I'm thinking about cleric magic, whereas magic user and wizard spells will be, I think, in circles and powers because they're more rote based and written down or tattooed on your skin or crafted in runes, that kind of thing. All magic users are going to have a way to take energy from the material world around them, a bit like defilers in Dark Sun, but not quite as bad. But to like and channel it into their spells because they use their hit dice directly to their energy. I always like the idea of Raistlin in Dragonlance, that as he was infirm and he had so much power, but he was like falling apart. I quite like the idea that arcane magic has a toll, and divine magic is like stop, we can't do any more, stop. Whereas arcane magic is like, if you can suck in enough energy and spit it back out, you can do fireballs all day, but it's gonna tear you apart. So I think there's going to be like a toll of certain spells or something. I want it to feel like a bit thematic like that. And each type of magic user will be able to use a different material as source of power. So blood casters will be able to use blood. Rune wielder will be able to carve runes that then destroy and kind of temporary things. But the type of spells that can be embodied in a rune are different to those that are on a scroll or those that are in a tattoo or those because of the medium that you're using. A magic user will be able to make scrolls and absorb energy from objects. And the Ice Seeker, these are the people on Arlorn who go out trying to find the ice that's formed from the water that's dripped down from Glorim. And this ice doesn't melt unless affected by extreme heats or absorbed through magical processes. So it's kind of like these tasty nuggets for these people to go out and find, because you can keep them all day. There's rumors of super rich members of the Fenuriath, which is the capital city of Ledrya, where they're in the mountain, elves in the mountains licking the ice. who has like a fridge, a never-ending fridge, because it's filled with Glorim ice in his castle, and there's many brigands in the city of Feniriath who think it would be the greatest caper in the world to sneak in and break into this guy's fridge and steal all his Glorim ice. But yes, some of the thoughts I have on magic around how it forms and how it's used and the kind of powering it up or powering it down. 1 touch and D8, 2 is range and straight, 8, 3 is yeah, that was it, counting. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we got a bit wrong on one episode, I think, but then we sorted it out. So handy that they kind of do that kind of thing, which is pretty cool. So that's Cleric. I've gone through that before. And then we've done the monsters. That's cool. Yeah. So that is kind of. Oh, hello. We have a raid. Welcome, raiders. Emp0. Welcome to the chat. I am Pete, and I'm just chatting about my rebuild of D&D that I'm working on for my setting called Undrum the World Mountain, and how it's a goal-based leveling system where instead of you going up a level and gaining abilities, you complete actions, and you therefore fill in your advances. And once you have a certain number of advances, you then go up a level. So kind of flipping levels on their heads. You don't get experience points. It's not milestones. If you're a fighter, you've got to go out and fight things, survive battles. So like an RPG. Yeah. Rebuilding Dungeons and Dragons from the ground up to be my own thing. That is going to look somewhere. Oh, not that one. Let's get to that one. Somewhere in the region of, we need to get some more artwork done, and I'm doing a playtest soon. Couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, I think. I'll have a playtest which I'm going to share with my patrons on the Patreon to have a go at playing it and see what they think and give me feedback. I think it should work, and I think it should be an interesting way to do D&D. So you're invested in the actions that you are taking in order to level up, rather than, potentially coasting. At least next 2 hours I'm doing art and I'm using the stream for inspiration. Wow, Naren Izeka. Well, if you want to do something for inspiration, then I need a picture from the ether of the whole of the world mountain drifting through space with the multiple levels on it. That would be cool. Yeah. So that's cool. That's kind of where I've got to at the moment. The last thing I was working on was the monsters, as I said earlier on. And I'm quite pleased with just like this kind of simple. These red, green, and blue things are a bit gaudy, and this is just simple stuff in design that I can do quickly to block it out, and therefore have all of those things kind of lined up, ready to use. I'm going to have a simple couple of pages on the basic rules with the proficiency table, and the difference between the different weapon groups, armor types, what happens with an armor proficiency, what happens with a weapon proficiency, all those things. Shoot me down. Oh, blimey. So that the kind of, because a lot of it's fairly familiar. It's rolling d20, adding your ability modifier and a proficiency. It's just what the proficiency is, and what you're aiming for are these slightly different things. The main difference is the leveling based on the advances and using the goals to complete your advances, and then you get up to a level that opens up new advances. That's the whole point of leveling. So you get to see those new cool things that you could get. Your old ones go away. I think we'll have it as we go up. You'll be able to take something from the past and maybe swap it, or you can now level up one from 2 levels ago or something. I don't know. I don't want it to be like the doors completely shut, but I want it to be doors mostly shut. If you didn't pick that, if you didn't do those actions, you can't get that advance because you weren't interested in shooting a bow. So why is your ranged combat going to go up? For example, there we go. Cool. Okay. Well, unless anyone's got anything cool they want to talk about in chat, that's probably everything for tonight. We are. Oh, what have we got coming up? So tomorrow we've got Lex Arcana, which is the kind of alternate history Roman adventure, mythological Rome adventure, and that's every other week. So that's on tomorrow. Then on Thursday, like it, Calnan, like it. Put that in the channel. Put that in the Discord. Then on Thursday we've got Dune. I'm not going to be able to play on Thursday, unfortunately, but the guys will be carrying on without me as the members of Siege Aberrax go deep into the buried starship that they've found, which will be interesting. See if they can find the main bad guys and take them down for the revenge for the siege. So that's cool. And then Thursday night, he pauses to check his cast schedule. What have we got Thursday? That's why the screen suddenly went very bright. Is it 17th? Oh, is it Starfinder on? Oh no, I think it's another Acton Cthulhu actually. Before. Oh no, it looks like he's updated it. Looks like it's Starfinder. Well, what I can say is that very soon, Thursday nights in our North America stream will be alternating between Starfinder and Acton Cthulhu, as Matt kind of swaps between those things. That's cool. What else have we got going on? And then Friday, I think we had originally planned to have, Star Wars going on, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So I think instead we're going to have a Monster of the Week. Anderson Verse continues to fill in the gap on Friday, so that's cool. And then next week when we come back round, I'll be doing Pathfinder again next Tuesday, so that's cool. And then that week we've got June, no game in USA, and then Monsters of the Week versus Glitter Hearts on February 25th. One thing to point out is on Thursdays soon, I think from March the 3rd, we'll be doing the One Ring on Thursdays. And don't forget, we've got the Enemy Within, the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Grand Campaign, that is monthly. And the next one of those is on the 11th of March. So that's cool. We'll let you know close to the time so you don't forget. Don't forget, if you're watching on Twitch, please follow, subscribe. If you are a Prime, Amazon Prime member, you get a free subscription. Why not throw that Garblag's way? Those big streams don't need them. Us little streams do. If you're watching this back on YouTube later, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel and come over on Twitch. And all your Twitch people, don't forget to watch us again on YouTube later. Join us on Discord. We've shouted about it a lot in the stream today. And we've got an awesome community on there, over 600 members, talking about all kinds of things, including role-playing games, helping us to develop things, and it's fantastic. So there's a link to our Discord in the chat, and there's one below if you're watching on YouTube. And don't forget to check out our Patreon. There's loads of free stuff on there. So even if you don't want to subscribe to our Patreon, go there and have a look, because there's loads of free stuff. And I think there's a tag of free content that you can use to find those things. And there's literally PDFs, games, all kinds of stuff that you can download right now for free. And patrons at different tiers get different bonuses as well. All patrons the other day got access to the prequel episode of our Enemy Within campaign, which was a lot of fun with the forest dragon and the interesting circus. So, yep, go and check that out. Jim's doing a great job already, and the first episode of the show was fantastic. With, yeah, just I'm not going to spoil anything. If you get to the $15 a month level, then you can game with a Garblag once a month. One of the Garblags will run a game for you and other patrons of the channel, which I've been doing recently with some of the people in chat right now, playing Pathfinder 2 in the World Mountain. But we have played a lot of different games. And we're always up for people coming in and saying, "Oh, is anyone up for playing a game of this for us?" We've got 4 veteran GMs who are ready to play games with people. So that's cool. Excellent. Right. I think that'll probably do for now. So I will say goodbye. Thank you very much, everyone who's been in chat and firing questions and thoughts my way. I will see you soon. This is Garblag Games. Stay safe and happy gaming.